To this video, I am Aaron Chua, software engineer here in Dini Micro. It's an honor to have the opportunity to talk here and share my knowledge with everyone. It's actually my first time making this kind of stuff, so please bear with me. So, excuse me. I'm here to talk about the concept of CORS, or the cross-origin resource sharing. I think most of us developer, especially the one working on the web applications, encounter CORS. In my experience, when I first met a problem related to CORS, I have no knowledge of it at the time. So this time I'll share it to you guys with my knowledge of CORS. You'll learn about what CORS and you will learn to configure CORS from both client and the server side. So we're not gonna deep dive about CORS because that's basically wasting a lot of time. So because I'm gonna talk things that you need to learn and you need to know when developing web apps, especially developers who are using JavaScript and Node.js. Although I will not be, I'll be using React or Node.js Express for the examples. You won't find fully programmed core solution for your specific language or platform unless of course you happen to be using Node.js and Express. So the core concepts of CORS are the same regardless of the web platform or programming language you use, so don't worry about me teaching and explaining about how to solve problem with CORS using Node.js and Express. Don't worry about that because CORS is not tied up to a specific programming language. So the goal is to give you guys foundation for understanding CORS, and so that you can then go and implement it on your own, so in your own platform. So let's get started. For everything else, here are the key questions of what we gonna answer later. The key questions are what is the origin. First, we have to learn what is origin, because origin is the O in the CORS, the cross origin resource sharing. We have to understand what is origin, and next is what is the same origin policy. Before CORS, there is same origin policy. We have to answer this, and then how does SOP or same origin policy relate to CORS. So what is origin? So the origin is the request header, indicates where our request originates from. The origin is combination of three parts. These parts are protocol, domain, and the host. So for example, this is the format of the what is basically, this one is the URL we are talking about here. We're talking about the URL. So the origin is the URL of where the request came from. That's the origin. So for example, this one, HTTP HTTP here is the protocol, whether HTTP, HTTPS, or what protocol are you using. www.abc.com, this is the domain name or the host name or whatever called, and the port 8080, obviously this is the port, and then but this is optional because some other sites are um, um, not specified. It's not specifying the port, so um, okay, so or I mean excuse me, if one of the three elements, so the protocol, if one, it said here that if even if one of the three element is different, meaning um, example, this is not the port 8080, this is port 500, I mean 5000, or whatever number it is. So it said here that even if one of the three elements is different, modern browsers such as Google Chrome or Mozilla or Firefox considered the resource as having different origin, meaning uh, that is already a cross origin. So that is the CORS, the cross origin, meaning it's you are requesting from from one URL to another to a different URL. So for example, you are hosting a web app, for example this abc.com, and inside your app or inside your script, or you performed a AJAX request um, to a different URL. So for example, this is the URL, and I'm trying to access google.com search. So I'm fetching data using my domain to another domain, meaning I'm fetching whatever method that I'm going to use, or whatever I mean whatever header or whatever method I'm using, that's the cross origin. So okay, next. So here comes the next question: what is the same origin policy? So as I said earlier, when you are trying to request something that you're outside your domain, that's the cross origin. So here we have same origin policy. What is this? What is same origin policy? The same origin policy is a critical security mechanism, as MDN said, that restrict how a document or script loaded from one origin can interact with a resource from another origin. So it helps to isolate potential malicious document or reducing possible attack vectors. What does it mean? This one. For example, earlier I have the example that this one, abc.com, and I'm trying to let me annotate this one. I'm trying to request, this is my domain, so I'm trying to request for example slash http www.abc.com port 8080 slash, you see the screen? Oh, I think you can see it, so never mind. So what I'm trying to say is when you are on the abc.com this URL and you're trying to access abc.com slash whatever path it is not violating the cross I mean the same origin policy uh, because it is safe, or it is on because it's their rule that that whatever request that we're going to do, regardless of what path it is, as long as it's the same origin, um, it's not violating the same origin policy. When we say same origin policies violation, this means that you are crossing from one domain to another domain. So you are requesting from domain abc.com to and you are getting some information from whatever example and xyz.com. You're trying to get you're making an ajax call from your server abc.com to xyz.com. So that's basically violating the same origin policy, and because it blocks, or because browsers allow website to store information. Why is that? Why is that it's getting a restriction or violated? That's why you are getting some cross origin uh, allow origin error, because browsers allow website to store information on a client's computer. It's a security risk for the user. It says here that in the form of cookies, for example, these cookies have some information attached to them. So it's like name of the cookie or whatever inside of it, whatever information inside the cookie, when it was created or when it will expire. That's the all information you can find on the cookie. So etc. So inside the cookie, let's say there's a name, my name and my information, that or other information. It might have sensitive information, which should be accessible from abc.com, and it's all subdomains. So by doing that, if so the browser stores this cookie, and whenever the user makes a request to a domain, like I said earlier, which this cookie is accessible, this cookie would be sent to the server for that domain. So like I said earlier, when I trying, because it's without SOP, you can retrieve something from outside from your domain. Your example, just like I said earlier, that when you are trying to request from XYZ using your domain, you can get data from the other website from XYZ. So that's a good thing. There's no problem with that. But the problem is this. This allows, like we have like what if this abc.com is a malicious website, or whatever it is, or a phishing website, to send those cookies to abc without the user knowing. So you are trying to forge the request without the user knowing. That's the risk of doing something like that. So that's why there's a policy, the same origin policy. That's where the same origin policy made. So So for example, this one, like I said earlier, I have to fetch for this website. Then my website is, I mean, my URL is xyz.com, and I'm trying to fetch a data from here, from abc.com/order new first name, etc., etc., and then and then when you execute this code, you want to fetch something. The same origin policy was not there. The malicious user would get the information he wanted, or a worst case scenario is the user would try to order a request and get the order at his place, and you might not like that. So we have to prevent something like that. Then this happened because your browser sent your cookie to abc.com, which made by xyz.com, that you think that you are making the request for the new order knowingly, but you aren't. So this is the example of a what you call it, CSRF attack. So a forged request was made across sites. So CSRF attack means the cross-site request forgery, and it would not work thanks to the same origin policy. That's where same origin policy was created. That's the reason why it was made. So, and also that's why it is related to CORS. So how does excuse me. So how does same origin policy solve this? So simple. It stops the malicious site, the xyz.com, from making requests to other domains. So meaning it stops the malicious site, meaning it will be blocked by the browser. So if you are the xyz.com and you are trying to request a data from abc.com, that request will be blocked by the browser. The browser will be automatically know if the request is good, or if the request is good or safe to execute before responding the server, before the server responds. So it will be blocked by the browser. So because somewhere in the server meaning the server is the URL that you are trying to fetch, the abc.com. So it depends on the server. The server may configure that because you have in the server, you have the control whether who are the clients or who are the users that can access your URL. You can set that on the server. You have the full control over that. So that's it. So in other words, the browser would not allow any site to make a request to any other site. It would prevent different origin from interacting with each other through like AJAX. However, resource loading from the other host, like images, scripts, style sheets, whatever, etc., iframes, are not subject to this limitation. So it's also possible by using images as method. It will bypass the SOP, but we have another wall for protection to to that malicious site by using CSRF tokens. So I'll give you an example on that violates the rule of SOP, same origin policy. So this is the table. As you can see on the table, we have 5 URL, and then we have um, HTTP store company. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. I forgot to. Forgot to include the origin. So here we have the origin of request. So here we have the origin of request, storecompany.com. So this is the origin of the request. And example, you are trying to access http storecompany.com/jr2/other.html. So does this violate the rule of SOP? Yes or no? So the answer is no. No, because this does not violate the rule of SOP, because the only reason is the path. Only the path differs. So as I said earlier, the way the way origin I mean, you can only differentiate a different origin if they have they differ, the protocol, the different protocol, if they have different protocol, path, or ports. So these three components are the basis of the origin. So if one of that is different, you are violating the SOP policy. So example for this one, only the path differs. So the answer is yes, because this is valid. Okay, this is valid. This is not violating the same origin policy. So next is store.company.com /tr inner HTML, etc. So that's the same as above. So only the path differs. So it's not violating the SOP. Next is http://page.html. So this one is violated the SOP, because it has different protocol. As you can see, the protocol here here is HTTPS. The origin, well, the origin is HTTP, so it violates the SOP. Next is HTTP store.com and has port 8081. I mean 81. So it's violating the rule. So the reason here is deferred port, and HTTP is port 8080 by default. So there is no um, no indicated port. So by default it's 80. So the 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 origin of the target of the request is 81, which is different, this is not the same. So, and then next is news.company.com. Obviously news.company.com is a different host. That's why it's violated the SOP. Now we're going to proceed to the main topic, which is CORS. So we are now on our main topic, the CORS. So first we have to answer this: what is the CORS? What does CORS works, and how CORS request works? We have to answer these questions through okay. So now, what is CORS? So okay, according to MDN, cross-origin resource sharing is an HTTP header-based mechanism that allows a server to indicate any other origin, domain, scheme, or port than its own from which browser should permit loading of resources. So what does this mean? What this means is that CORS enables web clients to make HTTP requests to servers hosted on different origin. I will repeat. CORS enables web clients to make HTTP requests to servers hosted on different origins. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to request. I'm hosted on my web page or web app is hosted at www.abc.com, www.abc.com, and then you're trying to make an AJAX call to google.com or whatever URL or whatever server you're trying to retrieve on something. That's and CORS will be, and it depends on the server if the server permits the origin to request to your server. So the server side components configure which type of cross-origin requests are allowed, like I said earlier, and what type of requests are allowed. So there are two. There are two requests to be identified. So the server component configure which type of cross-origin. You are talking here the origin. We're talking about the origin. The origin of the request are allowed. So in the server side, you can configure what URLs or what servers that are allowed to be requested, or to be are allowed to request from your server. So example, Google, Facebook.com, Google.com are allowed to request my server, which is my own server, literally my own server. Like if, for example, I have aaron.com, www.aaron.com. In the server side code, I have to configure there what users. So facebook.com and or whatever servers that are using my server, or whatever clients that are using my server, I will permit them, I will allow them to do what my server is capable of. So I'm allowing the clients that are requesting my data. So I can do that on the server side component. And also the second one is what are the types of requests are allowed. So we're talking here about headers, and methods. What type of method that you are going to publicize or going to be exposed when Facebook.com are using your server. So you can do that on the you can do that on the server side on your app. So a server has a choice to open its API to all clients. So as I said earlier, open it up to a small number of clients or prevent it to all clients. I have the control over that. So I have, if ever I don't want to be asked by someone, and then I will not allow it. So if I have to permit that only you can access my, or can fetch a request, for example get my name, then I will allow you only get. So you can only you can only use get to, or you can only use post to post method to post method request to me. So I have the control over that. And then while the client side component request controls how cross origin requests are made. So for example, that I allowed Facebook.com to request for my information, and then but I allowed it, but I have one condition. um, um, for example, you can only use post. So I will configure it there, how um, and and I mean and the client, or the facebook.com will know that your header is allowed or not. So that's how it is. and and I'll give you another example. For example, you have an app hosted on, let's say, for example, in this diagram. So, so first, the client. This is the flow of your of when this is the flow when you are trying to um, when you're trying to access um, Flickr server. You are trying to um, make an AJAX call to Flickr server. So this browser, if for example this browser is um, the origin of this browser is abc.com. So first, the 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 CORS first, the CORS here in number one, the CORS request is initiated by the JavaScript client. So it's initiating the code, your code. So the browser includes additional HTTP headers on the request. So this is the second one, this arrow over here. The browser includes additional HTTP servers on the request before sending the request to the server. So it's not a direct request. This request called why headers are request before sending request to the server. Um, the reason here is the server will check whether the headers are allowed. So, but whether the headers are allowed or the method is allowed, the server will check if the request headers are the same or not. So supposedly, the request and the response header are usually the same. And so here in number 3, after that, the server includes HTTP headers in the response that indicate whether the request is allowed. This is what I'm talking earlier. The server includes HTTP headers in the response that indicate whether the request is allowed. So after that, if the request is allowed, the browser sends response to the client. For example, you are trying to delete. You are trying to delete some. You are trying to use delete method. So first, the client initiates request to flickr.com, and then browser adds headers and sends request to flickr.com. So for example, you're trying to make an AJAX call, delete using delete method, and you have headers, for example, custom headers or something. So the server will check if the method and the headers are match inside or on what your browsers, on what your server has. So if the server will check that if this method delete existed in my configuration, and if it's not, then I will respond to the client that this is not allowed. Okay, I will not allow this because delete method is not configured in my server. So I will tell the client that okay, that's the delete method is not included in my configuration. So here comes the step 3, response, of course, with specific headers, whether the request is allowed. And number 4, if the browsers is allowed, in number 4, the browsers will the browser will automatically know whether what the server responded, or what the server is gonna respond, um, and then it will be blocked by by the by the by the browser. And sometimes it will tell you that origin are not the same. Origin is not, you are not allowed to request this because uh, you are not part of the origin that is configured on the server. And that's it. And any other information is will be the browser will not tell you the other, or the any information why 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 it's blocked, because for security purposes, um, the client will only know that it's getting blocked. That's it. So yeah. So if the headers returned by the server don't exist, like I said earlier, or aren't the, or aren't what the browser expects, the response is rejected and the client can't view the response. In a way, browsers can still enforce the same origin policy to servers that don't allow cross-origin requests. Now you have now you have the sense of what CORS is, and let's turn our attention to making a CORS request. So making a CORS request, according to MDN, a CORS request consists of two sides: the client making the request and server receiving the request. On the client side, the developer writes the JavaScript code to send request to the server. The server responds to the request by setting special CORS specific headers to indicate the cross-origin request is allowed. Without both the client's and the server's participation, the CORS will fail. So we will, but before that, I'm gonna explain to you what is a cross-origin request. So what is cross-origin before we're gonna make a CORS request, because at this time I will be demonstrating to you guys how to make a CORS request using Node.js. Okay, so first we have to learn what is a cross-origin request. Okay, so what is cross-origin request? Before learning how to make cross-origin request, let's define first what is a cross-origin request is. So think of a website. Sorry about that. Think of a website, for example. Sorry. I'm gonna explain you through code. So let's stop the share first, and then let's try this code. So here I have a example of I'm trying to request from google.com. Let's say google.com. So here, let's access google.com. So I'm already in google.com and it's back. So in my server, as you can see, in my server I'm using CORS middleware. So this is a Express app. So I'm using JavaScript Express.js, and then in here I have no CORS. I have no CORS route. So I will try to fetch this. So my server is served at http/localhost port 5001. So here in google.com, I will try to fetch here. I'm trying to load I'm trying to run a script fetch, trying to make an Ajax call here. So the URL is http, let's copy this, http localhost. So if I try to run this, there's an error, as you can see. Access to fetch localhost 5001 from origin google.com. So this is the origin. So the CORS is trying to tell us that your origin, which is where the script is running, which is the www.google.com, has been blocked by CORS policy. So the access control allowed origin header has a value that is not equal to the supplied origin, meaning excuse me, meaning that your server http/localhost port for 5001 is not equal to the supplied origin meaning the origin google.com is not equal in the access control allow origin header, which is configured in the server, which is this localhost 5001. So how do we solve this kind of issue? So first, let's everything CORS related issue that can be configured on the server and with the participation of the client. So you have to talk about the two will be communicating what requests are allowed and what the server needs for the client to request. So let's go to our code. So this one, I'm trying to configure how to solve that issue. So in this, I'm gonna make an option, or I'm gonna make a option for CORS. So we'll be using this CORS, this middleware, and apply it to this route. Okay, so for example, options, CORS option, once, and also with let's try on the documentation. So okay, so basically if we are not going, there are many ways to allow such request. First, by using a wildcard. So what is this wildcard? This wildcard means that I will allow all all origins to access my server, or to fetch my server. So so I'm going to allow all servers, meaning all server, like I mean all origin, like whatever clients are trying to request me. For example, this one. So CORS. So by default, this one, without specifying the option, this one has because this one has default. So when we try to see their document, I mean their documentation, so the default configuration is equivalent of this one. So origin, this is what I'm talking about. Origin, or the allowed control origin, is this one. The one that is access control allow origin, this one is the property origin here. So this origin here is the value of access control allow origin. So what is this access control allow origin? This access control allow origin, this is the configuration that what origin we will be allowed to request to your server. For example, this asterisk here indicates that all origin are allowed to request to my server. So if I indicate this one, if I will allow the default here, I will allow all origin to request my server. So let's try if this work. So here in Google, let's try to run the script again, this one. Access to fetch at still sorry about that. We have to no CORS. Sorry about that. So if I try to fetch this one, no CORS. So if I try to fetch this no CORS, it will be allowed. So let's enter. See, promise and fulfilled. So the request here is not getting this kind of error because we allowed all website to be access my server. And then let's try to another server, like let's try to another client. Let's say it's Peter. For example, this one. If I try to run a script here, the same script, so So the request field. Oh, let's try. Because it violates the document's content security policy. Maybe in the in the Twitter request using um, me- um, somewhere in their server, this twitter.com, they don't allow to run script from this from their domain, and then they don't allow to run a script that they are they that that uh, not theirs. So they don't allow such script. So maybe because of that, the error occur. So I have an app here that hosted at port 3004. So let's try. I'm using Axios as the, and then no CORS, and get method get. So if when I'm gonna run the app, localhost port 3000. There, the network. Trying to refresh. No CORS. So it's success. So the server runs no CORS because it allows the all origin to request my server. So that's the one thing. And then next is in CORS we can also allow a header. We can specify what type of header that we can only be used. So let's try to put for example this one, allowed headers content type. So we can specify what headers this server can be accepted. So let's try to make a request again. So this one okay. So before that, this one allow only the origin of localhost 3000. So first let's try this one. So if it's running only in the localhost 3000, so let's try to make a request. So the request here is this allowed headers. So let's make this one. Method is delete, and then okay. Oh, sorry about that. So if I'm trying to fetch here, no, I'll be using in the app. So here in my app, I'm gonna use the method delete, and let's say content type application, and then let's put a authorization here. That's why I have an authorization or like any other. I have someone authorization string there, and then this one, this path is allowed header. Okay. So here we only allow the origin of this one, this client. So 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 this will run if we request from from this server. Okay, let's refresh this one. Okay, so there's an error here. Let's access to XML HTTP request at localhost 5001 allowed dash header from origin localhost HTTP 3000 has been blocked by CORS policy. So meaning it violated the rule, the policy. Request header field authorization is not allowed by access control origin headers in pre-flight response. Meaning this, while the script load, the client send a request from this. This is what I'm talking earlier. When let's go back to this one. When the client code initiates a request to, for example, that for this host or this URL, this localhost 5000, the browser adds a header and send the request to Flickr, and then the server. So what happened here in the server before responding? The server will check if the headers or if the configuration of the incoming request or the outgoing request match the configuration that has in my server, which is this one, this server here in the Flickr server. And then if it's the same, and then I will allow the request, and if it's not, then I'll inform the browser that it's not the same. So then the browser will know that it is safe to make such request or not. So that's why the browser sends an error that has been blocked by CORS policy. So request header field authorization is not allowed by access allow control origin headers in pre-flight response. How? And question here now is, how do we fix this one? So it's simple. So we have to allow authorization. We will add the authorization header. So that's what I'm trying to say earlier. Client and the server needs to communicate for them to go. I mean, the client and the server needs to communicate for them to have a normal conversation. So if you don't know what the server needs, then don't try to access them, because that's not good, and it's like you are a malicious user. So that's why you can't just request something from facebook.com, because facebook.com has headers and whatever it is, authorization, basic auth. You can't just get their information from your and use them from your domain. That's not how it works. The security, it's security issue. So now we have to fix this one. We have to include the authorization here. So So hopefully this will work, and this should work. This should work. Let's try to refresh the page. Okay, success. Delete. So as you see, the header here gets accepted. The As you can see on the request headers, this is what is the request header. It's allowed. The authorization is allowed, and the value of allowed, the value of the authorization, and because it's allowed here in the server, so it gets accepted, and then that's it. So this is what we call a pre-flight. So a pre-flight is the server needs to check the header, whether the header is good to proceed the request or not. So let's have another example. Let's try the method by using the old way, or the old way of making old way of configuring CORS. So we'll not be using CORS middleware or CORS library. We'll not be using this, and let's try to execute a middleware here. Let's register a middleware where let's allow origin, allow access control, or allow control, access allow control, access allow control origin set to this URL, and then access control allow headers, this one. Let's allow these headers, and then if this code here, if the request method is an option, meaning it's a pre-flighted request, this part here, if it will catch and fall here, the server will introduce okay, this is the header, this is the methods that I'm going to allow the request. So meaning if I have to request a delete, and the delete method is going requested to the server, and then it checks that the delete is included here, and then okay, let's proceed. Let's allow that such request. So this is the other way of doing it, and this is the other way of using this CORS library. So I allowed a head, get, delete, and put. So let's try to make a request here, this allowed method put. So let's try to run this code from our client. Let's try to fetch slash allowed method put, and for example this put. So, and then authorization, let's check if the authorization is still on this one. Okay, not. Okay, let's omit this one so that it will not be blocked by CORS. And then let's try to run this code. Okay, So put method. So let's try to run our code, run our page. Success. So allowed method put. Then okay. So we have a console log here. So in this way we know that all the requests will be uh, um, redirected here first before going to allowed before going to the route here. Um, so as you can see on the terminal here, that's right. So sorry. So I have our console log here, the request method, and then allow control and access method here, the log. And then I have a log here that the route, inside the route. So when I try to refresh the page, there will be, sorry. So as you can see, the request method gets executed first. So the code here get executed first before going to its route, to this original request. So it get checked here. So in this way, the server check if the headers sent from the client, um, it checks that if it's the same or not, and then same or not before executing this route. So let's try to omit this put, for example this one, or delete. Let's say delete. So if I'm not gonna put a delete here, and then let's try to refresh our code. Oh, sorry, this is not delete, this is post. Let's try to change the method. So this ones will be now delete, and then the request from the client is now delete. So request method here is delete. So this is not. So we have omitted delete here, so we are expecting an error, a pre-flight error, because the method here delete is not indicated. So let's go back to our code. As you can see, the red origin has been blocked by CORS policy. Method delete is not allowed by access control allow method in pre-flight response. So in pre-flight response, meaning in this area here, when this is the pre-flight response, and the server check that it is safe to make such request, and then the delete is not included in the method, so this request will be blocked, and then they will inform the browser that it is not matched. It's not matched. So the browser will decide that okay, this request is not allowed. So the browser decided to block the request, and then inform the client, or the client, that your request is rejected. So I think that's the idea of the course. Um, I hope you will learn. I hope you learn something in my video. So I think that's all. So um, yeah, I think that's the end uh, of my video. So thank you for watching, guys, and have a good day. Thank you.